Just a quick thing, just quickly talk about the driver 14-hour shifts and the three companies with the highest collision data. Has somebody done an analysis on that? Is it because of the routes they drive? Is it because of the contracts that they give to their employees? When are these incidents happening? Are they the beginning of the shift, the middle, the end? Are they in the day, the night?
TfL does not publish this data. This was published by GMB. TfL doesn't publish any data on its website that shows this type of analysis. This was done by the union.
Okay, does this analysis exist?
So obviously we publish quarterly statistics which will tell you by garage where incidents occur. So what Tom refers to is the facts of the matter. In terms of operators in London, and Tom mentioned some of them are working in very constrained central London areas. Others.
So just to stop you, I don't want to focus on the operators, so I want to focus. Does that data exist? I might even understand why TfL doesn't publish it, but does the data exist that looks at where the incidents has happened, which company is involved, what time in that driver's shift it's involved? Because it strikes me, if you're trying to make a change around safety, they are the fundamentals, aren't they? Who is having an incident, where, when and why? Does that data exist?
So for every incident that involves harm, there's an investigation which will determine all of those factors. The driver report will say when it happened, what shift they were on, what location it was at, so all of that information exists. When it comes to serious injuries, which we have a NIMI process, we call it, so it's a notification of a serious incident, the investigation is very deep in terms of how we understand the root cause of what happened that day, and TfL also reviews that investigation in conjunction with the operator.
Okay. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just trying to. So then, what is done with that data? How does that play into your Vision Zero? Because if I listen to Sinisa speak, it sounds like the data exists, but it's not being used. And I think I'm asking you, how is that data informing your next steps? Let me just add something else, which is slightly tangential, because I ride the bus all the time, and I wasn't involved in this announcement trial. I am a fairly mobile person, and I would like that announcement, so I'm not sure why it doesn't happen everywhere else. And the other thing that strikes me up on the bus is all the hard points there is to hit. Now, I understand the temptation to have lots of poles so that I can hold on so I don't fall in the first place, but then, of course, I fall against these poles. It strikes me that the bus cushion doesn't wrap all the way around a chair, so my head will connect with the hard part of the chair. How comes these simple things are not being looked at?
Okay, they are. So, in terms of the interior of the vehicle, the way we structured the bus safety standard works, this is about all of the things you mentioned in terms of the design and the materials, is we looked at all of the police data on serious incidents that had happened on the network, and we got to root cause and then came up with a set of countermeasures to prevent those things happening. So in terms of the first stage of the bus safety standard, that has addressed all of the immediate things that we know we need to do to try and prevent serious harm. The interior of the vehicle and the actual materials we use for the poles, etc., is part of bus safety standard. We don't yet have the solution, so we've gone out to the industry, the manufacturers and the market and said, tell us how we can prevent this issue, because we know there are various different coverings. Things like the height of a seat is something that can cause injury because people are going over and back with lower seats. So we're looking at all of that as part of the continued research. So the manufacturers and the industry are looking at interiors. The one thing we could do quite quickly is specify an anti-slip flooring, so that's what we've done. But in terms of developing the next level of interior design, that's what will come into the next phase.
Sorry, because I'm trying to help cheer out and be quickly. Now, because your answer is satisfying me. Okay. But I just want to understand, you have this data about where, when and why the accidents are happening. Are you using that to speak to any operator, particularly about what they should be doing next?
So we launched a year ago a safety performance indicator or index for each separate bus operator across London, which is an index which has got 41 different measures within it that gives us the health of that operator in terms of their safety performance. So each period, the results of their performance in that period are put through the system to come up with their performance index. And my performance team and safety team go and speak to the operators to discuss their results in terms of their performance, but also we run an assurance program where every quarter the safety team go and they assure those results. So in terms of an audit process, where in the past we might have gone and checked processes, we don't do that anymore. We go to the operator, we meet with some drivers and some garage managers, and we say to them, can you tell me the last time someone spoke to you about safety? Can you show me some evidence of the briefings you've had recently? We test the processes and procedures through an assurance programme. So when we meet with the operators, we talk about their actual performance in terms of what happened that month and if the trend is going up or down, and where are the hot spots. They tell us where the hot spots are because they've got the data, which they didn't have in this amount of detail before. We then talk about their assurance and whether or not that's becoming healthier, because of course we can have a period where you have an unfortunate set of circumstances, but if your underlying processes and behaviours are improving, then that should bring a betterment in the end. And then we challenge them for action plans where we're not comfortable with that. So, I mean, I was going to ask Tony if he can comment, because you're at the end of this, because we do it to you, in terms of that relationship, what it's like.
Yeah.